Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we are doing the Caron braided cable crochet blanket. Really neat. We have not done a blanket like this before where the cables, there's actually what feels like 3 sets of cables are going on in this particular pattern, and I'll explain that to you on the diagram itself. So what we have down here is the lark's foot track stitch, and then we have the cabling that you have here. So I've figured out what you can do in order to change the size of this. So what we have to pay attention to when we're changing the sizes is that the edges are slightly different. So you have 2 different edges, of course. So and then we have the repeat pattern going across. So I'll explain that when we get to the diagram. So you have just easy repeat pattern. When I say easy, there's not that many rows to do the repeat, and you'll find that on page number 3. So here's the crochet diagram for this particular pattern, and it's in multiples of 20 plus 21. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, well, why don't you just say multiples of 20 plus 1? Well, technically that's incorrect for this because the edges are slightly different. The repeat pattern is just a small section in the middle here. So what we have is that if I look at the sheet, the repeat is actually right here only, and what is left over has to be done there in order to have the leftover. So that's why it's multiples of 20 plus 21. So if you'd like to change the size, that's your secret. So you need a 5.5 millimeter size eye crochet hook. We're using Caron 1 pound on camera today. The sample is done with that yarn as well. And when we go to do this, you're going to notice is that every other row it's just a single crochet on the stitch work. So on the back of it it's just single crochet across. So if you really look at it and squint, you see all the black lines? That's just the return pass on the back side. So all the fun stuff's happening on the good side of the work. Therefore anything that you're doing you'll be able to see if you're going off the track in many ways. So without further ado, let's get ourselves started. I am going to take you through the setting up of this pattern that you can see. I'm also then going to take you through the repeat of this as well, and then we'll cover the very last row when you have that opportunity to do so. So without further ado, let's grab your size 5.5 millimeter size eye crochet hook and your Caron 1 pound or whatever yarn you decided to use today. So let's begin. This is an intermediate level pattern, so some of the stuff is assumed, of course. So I want you to either chain 141 if you want to match the size. That'll give you a blanket that is 41 inches wide by 56 inches long. If you want to customize like I'm about to do, chain in multiples of 20, and when you're happy with the width of it just add another 21. So it's multiples of 20 plus 21. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So full disclaimer, I have done 2 multiples of 20 and then 21. So what I'll have here is that I'll be able to show you the repeat as I'm going across on this thing. So it doesn't look that wide here on camera, and it's just enough to get you to see what to do. So on row number 1, going back across, you're going to go to the 4th chain from the hook. So just count it backwards. So 1, 2, 3. Go to the 4th and go to the back hump or the back strand of the chain. And I want you to double crochet. And continuing on the back hump of the chain, I want you to double crochet yourself all the way down your chain, and meet me back here in just a moment. As we begin row number 2, let's talk about the repeat pattern. So when we go to chain up and we do one single crochet in the first 2, we're going to do these 2 front post double crochets here. The repeat pattern starts right here. So there's gonna be 5 single crochets in a row, chain 1, skip 1, and then 5 single crochets in a row, and then you have a total of 9 of these front post double crochets here. Now what I want you to pay attention to is that that's the end of the repeat. So when you get here you have to go back here and do this all over again. And the only difference is that when you get to near to the end of this project right here, then what you're going to do is that you're going to start off with the repeat as you see. Okay, and you're gonna start off, but what you want to do is that once you get to this part here, do you see it? See how that they're aligned? It's 2 front post double crochets, and then the last 2 are single crochet. So just look at it from this perspective of just being like the repeat is between this and this, and just keep an eye on the very edge of your blanket on the other side. Let's begin row number 2. So we're now officially looking at the right side of the work, so the front side. So you're going to chain up 1 and then put 2 single crochets in a row. So 1 and 2. Now the 3rd post that's down here, do you see that? It's the 3rd one away. That one plus the next one is gonna be a front post double crochet. Okay, and that's gonna be for the edging. So we'll do this on the other side of the edging when we go to finish it. Now the next 5 double crochets here are going to each be a single crochet. So just remember that when you do front post like that, that counts as the stitches that it's sitting in front of. So let's do 5 in a row. So and this is the start of the repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then you're going to chain 1, skip the next one, and then do the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now the one that we skipped will be the lark's foot track stitch later on, but we need to have that hole there so that we can do that in the future. So now we just finished the 5. So the next 9 in a row will each be a front post double crochet. So let's do those. So I'm not going to count those out loud. I'll keep quiet. I'm finishing up the 9th one now. So this is the entire width of the cable. So going on this side here, we're going to start another repeat. So to do the repeat again, remember it's 5 single crochets first. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then chain 1, skip 1, and that leaves a hole for the lark's foot track stitch in the future, and do the next 5 after you skip 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now the next 9 in a row is going to be a front post double crochet. I won't count out loud, so just do 9. Okay, and then the 9's there. So what you're going to do is just continually just repeat the pattern over and over, but you see that we're coming close to the end, so eventually you'll get there too. So you'll finish with these cables. There's 9 in a row, and then you'll start the next repeat again, but we're not gonna do any more cables from this point. So the next 5 are single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then chain 1, skip 1, and then do the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then what we have to do is that we have to, in the next 2 here, there'll be a front post double crochet down. That's your edging. And then you have 2 stitches left, so you have 1 here, and then the turning chain, don't forget, is a stitch. So go right into the turning chain, and that will complete you on the row number 2 for the setup. And so now you can see what's 3-dimensional, and now you can determine what is front side and back side. So right side and wrong side. Turn and work, and let's begin setup row number 3. You will notice that every time you're on the back of this, and you'll notice that it's the back, that each time you go across it'll just be chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way. So only the fancy stuff is ever done on the right side, so you can see if you're doing it right the first time, and I love designs that are like that, because then you're not second guessing yourself. The thing that I need to tell you though, watch that chain 1. It sometimes gets hidden in there, so just make sure you're running your fingers and splitting it open. So any chain 1 spaces like that, fill that in. There it is right there. Just fill it in with a single crochet just to keep it, and then continue along. So do that all the way across. Setup row number 3. I'm coming to the end of setup row number 3, and then I'm going to show you the diagram, because now the repeat pattern starts for the duration of the rest of this afghan. So let's turn it around and let's begin, and I'll show you the diagram first. So we can check off number 3 as being done. So rows number 1 through 8 here is going to be the repeat. So when we go to look at this, when we're starting our way across, so we just now come over and we're right here. So this side is the right side, okay, and then the other side is the left side, so it's the wrong side. So that's what we have. So every time we're going in this direction we're just single crocheting in every stitch across. So if there is a chain 1 we're just going to fill that in when we get there. It's going to be this direction here on the right side of the work is when everything starts to change. So when we did the setup row we did our first 9 in a row, and you're going to notice is that we are going to be using trebles in the front post to create this. And when we do the crisscross we're only doing 6 of them out of the 9, and then the 1 just stays straight up. And so you'll notice that it pretty much every other row is just straight on down, and what's really changing location is where this is crisscrossing to create those cables. Now row number 9 is shown here. That's just to let you know that it's the same here as row number 1. It's just showing you the repeat as we go. So you're going to repeat rows number 1 through 8 as many times as you want, and then what I'm going to do is that on row number on the very final row of your blanket, row number 9 changes so that we're gonna fill in all those spaces and then have a consistency just like it shows here. So that's kind of our goal today. So let's begin row number 1 of the repeat pattern. So let's take a close look of row number 1. So you're gonna chain up 1, you'll put 2 single crochets in a row, and then these here will always be the same thing as the front post double coming down. So we'll be always maintaining that. These will always be the the lark's foot track stitch. And so when we do this row we're going to come down into this one where we've skipped, and then we're gonna fill in the spaces, and then we're gonna come down into the same one. So when you do these ones here you're going to notice that there's only 3 single crochets that exist before it happens and then after it happens, and then we're filling in the spaces. When we get here we're gonna crisscross the first 6, and then you're going to maintain the pattern over and over. Let's try number 1 together. Let's begin row number 1 of the real repeat. So chain up 1 and you'll put 2 single crochets in a row. So 1 and 2. Now around the other 2 that are down here, these are the front post doubles, you're gonna keep those as front post doubles. So just go around those posts itself and keep it as a front post double. That's the nice thing about this pattern, everything happens on the right side, the good side. So those count as the 2 stitches that it's sitting in front of. Now you're only gonna single crochet the first 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and you are going to put in a treble in this stitch right here. It's the hole. Okay, it's right there. So you wrap the hook first and then going right in there, just pick it from the lineup and make sure you stay on the right side of the work, the good side, and treble all the way back up. And that counts as the next stitch that it's sitting in front of. So then you will single crochet the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1 and single crochet in the next. So what I need to tell you is this chain 1 that we're skipping always is gonna be in the same vertical piece. Now we need to come back and do this one, so we're going to just treble into the same one, and that counts as the next stitch that's in a row. Okay, so it counts as this stitch, and then you have 3 stitches left before you get to anything new. Do you see that? Now let's start doing our crisscrossing. So when we do our crisscrossing, it's a front post crisscross, and so all we're just going to do is just reach over. So we're gonna skip the first front post double crochets, the first 3 of them, go to the 4th, and you're gonna wrap the hook and do a front post treble on the 4th one. So you'll do that one plus the next 2 in a row. So you have a total of 3. Now you will notice in the diagram the ones that are going in this direction, the next ones are a darker blue, therefore they're in front of this one. So you have to come back to the first one right over here and front post treble it, and then do the next 2 in a row. So then this means that the first 6 in a row are just crisscrossed. And now the next 3 that are left, they're each gonna be a front post double crochet, and those ones are going straight down. So there is the end of a repeat. So you've done now the lark's foot track stitch, and now you've done the main cable, and now you're going to repeat all over again. So the next 3 in a row will be single crochet, and then you're going to do another lark's foot track stitch. So looking for the hole, you're going to just make that as a treble stitch right there. I may have called it a front post treble, but it's not. It's just going right into the stitch, and then that counts as the next stitch that it's in front of. So just go to the next one after that, single crochet, chain 1, and then skip 1 and single crochet in the next. So this hole and this hole should line up. Now you're gonna come back and do this one. I love this stitch. It looks so nice, and it's actually pretty easy to do. So that counts as the next stitch that it's gonna sit in front of. So you only have 3 stitches left. So 1, 2, and 3, and then you're back to the cable once again. So go to the 4th one of the cable and do a front post treble, and then do the other 2 that are in line with that. Okay, now come back and do the other 3, starting with the first one that's furthest away. And then the other 2 that are directly next. Okay, so now you've officially crisscrossed. So you have the next 3 that are here, and you're just going to do a front post double crochet straight on down. So how many stitches do you have left? So you'll just continue to repeat that pattern over and over. So after you get this done, then there's only 3 single crochets before something new. So 1, 2, 3. We have another lark's foot track going in. So I'm heading to the edge at this moment, if you didn't notice. And so I'm filling this in. Just use that diagram to help you. It really will help you. So after the lark's foot track is in, you have 3 stitches left. So 1, 2, 3, and then straight on down to catch these here. And this is the edge, and it's a front post double crochet for both of those. And then you have 2 stitches left, and that will complete then row number 2. So you have the pattern is starting to establish, and let's turn our work and do row number 2. So as I mentioned on the diagram before, this is gonna consider the wrong side. So every time we get 2, 4, 6, and 8, it's always the same thing. So I'll just quickly say it's just chain up 1 single crochet into each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces across. Please do this for row number 2. So row number 3. Row number 3, now we've just established where those tracks are. We've got the edge now established, so the only thing we need to worry about is the cable. So row number 3, we're just going straight on down into the existing front post trebles that are there. So everything is going straight down. The difference is that because you crisscrossed these 3 here, you're just gonna have to peel them out of the back end so that they appear in the front. Let's try and do row number 3. So just chain up 1 and you'll single crochet the first 2. You'll get used to this pattern, and then you're going to come down and you'll do your front post doubles around the other 2 that are already there. So we're maintaining that edge. Do you remember how many stitches that you have before you get to the track? It's always gonna be 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then you start the track. So right here where this hole is, you're going to do your treble there, and that counts as the stitch that it's gonna sit in front of. So this one, so you go to the next one, and then chain 1, skip the next one, and single crochet the next. So again, these holes will all line up. Now you're gonna come back and do that one again to create the other side of your track. And then that counts as the stitch that it's sitting in front of. So then you go into the next one, the next one, and the next one. So there's gonna be 3 before and then 3 after. Now as I said in this one here, we have the cables. You're just gonna do a front post a double crochet going straight down. So pick out the first one. You may have just to weasel your hook into there, and then you'll do the next one, and that's pulling it out of the back end. So you do the first 3, and then the next 3 are obvious right in front of you here, and you're gonna come straight into those. Remember, there is 9 of these that make up a cable itself. So these are the first 6, so they've just crisscrossed, and now you do the other 3 that are sitting there. So they're sitting there quietly, but next time we will be crisscrossing those in the future. Okay, so you have that done. So now remember how many before the track? It's 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then treble. It counts as the one it's sitting in front of. I'm going to assume you're going to know that. So do that one, skip the first one, and chain 1 so you create that hole again, and then treble into the 1. I love this stitch a lot. So that counts as the one it's sitting in front of, so you have 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and you're back on cables again. So straight on down, just pull it out of the back end if it's sitting in the back too far, and you're just going around those trebles that are crisscrossing. Grab the first 3, and then grab the next 3. You can see them, they're clearly in front. And then the last set of 3 are just sitting there. You just make those still go straight up. So you'll be doing that all the way across. Then as we come out to the end, you're gonna do the next 3, and then your track. I'm starting to speed up. I may get comments about that, but it's just a track stitch. I've already shown it before. It's the same thing over and over and over. And just remember, there's 3 single crochets before the track, 3 after the track, and then as you come into the end, it's just a front post double crochet straight on down for those 2, and then the last 2 are just singles. And this will complete then row number 3, and then you'll turn your work and begin number 4. So as I already talked about, this is the back side, so it's just chain up 1 single crochet in each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces going all the way across, please. This is row number 4. On number 5 we're going to start off, so just check off number 4. So you're gonna start off, you'll do your front post doubles, and then you'll do your track. So here in the cable, this is what's gonna get a little complicated. So whenever you're doing number 5, you're going to notice, see how it's darker with this one? This tells you that this is in front and the lighter one is in the back. The problem with this one here is that when you go to do that, is that these last 3 have to be done at the end. Therefore these are going to be sitting in front, and you're gonna have to dig these out from the back in order to get those. So it's the only way that cable can be done. So if you're thinking there's gotta be a better way, you can always think of other ways, I guess, but if you really want exactly the way it shows in the pattern and the way that that braiding is working beautifully, you have to do it this way. So you'll come straight down for the first 3, and then you're going to skip the next 3, and you're going to do your front post trebles over here. So these ones we're gonna have to dig in and get the first one, second, and third before we finish that. And you will notice then the cable is really gonna start being really effective. As always, there's 3 before a track, 3 after a track, and then eventually you come to the end. So let's give number 5 a try. So let's give number 5 a try. You're gonna chain up 1, and we'll do our 2 single crochets in the first one, and then coming straight on down. So you see it's only the cables that you really got to worry about so much of being it changed. Everything else is still the same. So after the first 2 are down, then you're just gonna put 3 single crochets in a row and then do a track. And then after the track is done, it's only 3 in a row. And I can tell I just accidentally missed a stitch there. Here. So just keep an eye on your stitches. If it's not looking like it's even, then something's wrong. So we got the 3 before the cable coming down. So these 3 here, the first ones are going to be straight on down, so there'll be a front post double down, and so that will be maintaining this. And now it's the cable that's gonna crisscross. So you're going to skip the first 3 and do the last 3 first, and that's a front post treble. So far so good, right? Now the other 3 that we have there, we're gonna have to dig out from the back. So you're just gonna wrap the hook, and you gotta come and you gotta make this in front. So I'm just gonna try, and I just gotta shift the project so I can get to the front side of this. So see how I shifted, and you're gonna do the first one, and usually if you get the first one, the other 2 that are left will be right in the back and ready for you. So just keep everything folded in front so you can have full access while you're doing your operation on the back side. And the true test is when you fold everything back into position, it should be covered, and it is. Okay, so you just gotta peel it back. So once you get that done, then you have the 3 before the track. So 3 single crochet and then a track. Okay, we have another cable coming up. So the first 3 are gonna be straight down. It's row number 5, so that's gonna happen. And then the next 6 are going to crisscross. So you'll start off by skipping the first 3 and go to the 4th one away and do those 3 first. And then you'll come back and do the other 3 skips. So just kind of fold things out of the, so just kind of lean it forward and access it. As I said, once you get that first one in, the other 2 just seem to line up and ready for you. So it's really not that big a deal. Some people just don't like going in the back sides of anything. And that includes yours truly, myself. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So it's crisscross. I officially caught on. So if you've missed one, you'll be able to see, and then you'll do the next 3 before the next track, and you'll get yourself all the way to the other side. So you'll keep repeating what you already know. So I'm gonna do the final track here before the edge. For those that have been following me for a while, we actually did the lark's foot track stitch in one of the summer stitch alongs. So if this is something you've seen before, you have definitely seen it in one of my stitch alongs. So remember that there's 3 singles before and after a track, and then you're going to finish the edging. So these 2 will be a front post double, and then the final 2 will be a single. And then we're gonna move on to the next row. So let's turn our work and begin number 6, and we already know what we're doing, but I'll just quickly tell you. So we're looking at the back. That means that it's just chain 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, and chain 1 spaces across. This is row number 6. So please do this, and I'll see you back here in a moment. So let's talk about row number 7. So row number 7, you're gonna chain up 1. You're gonna maintain your tracks and your edging. Now the cable here, we're gonna come straight on down, so it's like it was before here in number 3. So if you can see, every other row is the same thing of just coming straight on down, and then the other 2 rows that exist are either crisscrossing on the one side or they're crisscrossing on the other. So number 7 is just gonna continue to maintain, and we're gonna come straight down on the cables instead of crisscrossing. So let's begin number 7. Just chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in the first 2, and then do your edging of coming straight on down. And you know the answer, how many before a track and after a track of single crochets? It's 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then throw in a track. And then I'm doing the 3 after the track, and then we have our cables next. So your track should always be lining up perfectly. So the cables this time straight on down, it's just one front post double crochet into each. So the ones that are really quite obvious, they're just gonna be sitting there waiting for you, and the ones that are in the crisscross format, you gotta make sure that you dig them out from the back when there's opportunity. So the first 3 are in your face, you can see that, and then the next 3 are kinda hidden in the back, so you're gonna peel those out. So just get those 3 that are hidden in the back and pull those out. Okay, so now you can see the official crisscross has happened. So you do the 3 before the track. You're going to do the track. And then the 3 after the track, and then you got your cables again. The cables are straight on down. So you don't really hear me counting at all because I'm not. I'm just looking for the stitches to show me what to do. The only time I'm really counting is probably just the 3 before the track and 3 after a track, and everything else is just pretty much in my head. So then the 3 after the track, and you're coming to the edge eventually, and then you'll just fill those in with what you already know. So you have only one more row to go for the repeat pattern, and guess what that is? It's a back side, right? It's number 8. So you're gonna turn, and let's quickly do number 8, and let's talk about the repeat then. Row number 8, back side, just chain up 1 single in each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces across. Please do this and meet me back here, and then we'll talk about the repeating, and then we'll do the final row. So let's talk about the final row and the final repeating. So now that we've done all the way to 8, you're going to reverse back, and you'll do 1 through 8, and you'll do 1 through 8 until it's about 55 inches long. The designer is giving us 2 choices at this point. We're gonna go to about 55 inches, but you can go as big as you wanna go. You can either end with the last row being number 3 or number 7. It doesn't matter which one it is. So in this case what I've already done is that I frogged out my 8th row that I showed you, and I'm officially at the end of row number 7. I've already finished it, so that I'm going to do row number 8 with you here, but the row number 8 in this case will be the final row. So if you're finishing off on row number 3, then it will be the final row is number 4. But the way that we're going to finish it is really quite simple. Now the reason why we have to do that and we can't leave it as is that the last row here has a hole. So what we're going to do is our goal is just to put a double crochet into each one of the stitches, and also a double crochet into the chain 1 space to fill that in to finish it. So you will always have that hole if you don't do the final row. So let's do the final row now. So once you're satisfied with the length of your blanket, this is either the end of row number 7, which has already been done, or the end of row number 3. So this is going to be the final row on top of those. So you're just going to chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and you'll double crochet in each one of the stitches. If there's a chain 1 space, just fill that chain 1 space in with the double crochet, and that will fill in the hole that we just talked about. So it's just 1 double crochet in each of the stitches. This is the very final row, and then what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to do the fringe in just a moment, and yeah, it's actually a nice easy way to finish it off, and this will have it in balance with the way that the cable is working. So if I turn it around, you can see it's a great way to finish. So let's get this done, and then I'll show you the fringing next. Okay, once you're satisfied and you have your last row in, you're now going to just weave in your ends. So this is how I'm going to show you. So you will actually have to had done this already, in the sense that you would have actually switched your balls out if you were coming to the very end of your project. So the best way to do it is to grab a tapestry needle and feed that leftover yarn left, and you'll do this with both your starting strands and any strands that you have. And what I want to do is just concentrate and stay to the back side of the work and just glide it through the back about an inch or so, and don't change the shape of your project by pulling it too tight. So just kind of maintain it and then go through a slightly different path back towards where you just came from, and then finally a third time is a charm. So let's cover the fringe next, and you'll do that with any loose ends that you have, and I'll see you back here in a second. So eventually you'll have a beautiful panel that will look like this, obviously much bigger, and then we're going to cover the fringe. Now the fringe is making up of 6 yarns. So let's just back you out a little bit further here, and we know that a piece of paper is about 11 inches, right? 11 and a half, or 11 by 8.5 inches. So what you can do with this is that you can use that or a tape measure, and you need to have a total of 6 strands per fringe. So you can go just a little bit beyond the paper and pinch it, and then just pinch and pull. So there's 2 strands, and boom, and then fold it again, there's 3 strands, and you keep doing that until you get 6. Now that I have 6, I can just safely trim that yarn. So I'm not gonna worry about those loops of trimming those until the very end, that when all of them are on the work. You're just gonna take this and you're gonna fold it directly in half, and you're gonna come to your project, and it's about every other stitch that you have, or you can do whatever you would like to do. The more you put in, the more tassels obviously it will take. So to do this, you're just gonna come into the edge. So I would start with the edge and then skip one and then do the next one, and etc. But you wanna come from the back side of the work towards the front side, and you wanna come right into a stitch itself. So try not to go into any spaces, and then you're going to loop that in and pull that through. And when you pull, you're pulling it to the back side. So if you look at it, you're coming from the front to the back. If you go from the other way, from pulling from the back to the front, this knot that I'm about to do will be on the back side. So now just splitting it open and pull everything through there, and this cross beam, because I pulled from the back, will be on the front side of the work, just like that. And so then just pull it, and then you're good to go. So then you'll do another 6, and then you'll do another 6. So you might want to skip over 2. You can decide what works for you. Eventually what's gonna happen here is that you'll have it all lined up, and you may want to steam it or wet block it or damp it a bit and let it dry, and then just kind of push it down before it's dried, and then you'll have a nice line. And then all you'll just do is take your scissors and just roughly just trace it all the way, all the tassels all the way up, in order to get it to be nice and even. So you can see I didn't have to cut those loops that were closed, because this will do it. And so once you kind of pull on it, you can just fine-tune the details, anything that's kind of like not where it should be. And that would be how you would do your tassels at the end. But it's a really neat project. I really love cable work like this. It's really not that difficult, and it's just a nice easy repeat of 8 rows in order to accomplish this. So this is it for today. This is the braided cable crochet blanket by Yarn Inspirations. Hopefully you enjoy, and we hope to see you again real soon. Bye bye.